Yeah, good morning, everybody. Okay, once again, this is Tuesday, and I'm here with you for English classes. I'm Rakesh Fresta. You know me, your English facilitator or distant learning English teacher. So we're going to start class for grade 9 English today, and I will be focusing on story writing skills. We'll try to learn a lot of things about the narratives and the elements. Practically, okay, this is going to be more fun, okay, if you are ready there with pen and papers, okay, to take the notes, and probably at the end of the class, okay, you will just be ready to make nice stories. Maybe this is a coincidence, okay, today I am here, okay, it's my wedding anniversary, and I got to make a nice story at home. So there are occasions in life, very surprising, right? You have such wonderful occasions and experiences in your life, and you're going to talk to your friends and relatives and the people you know, those who are all around you, behind you, in front of you, everywhere, the near and dear ones. You're always, okay, interested in telling them your experiences in the forms of stories. But have you become that smart in leaving that impression, okay, upon the people whom we interact? Maybe this class can be the answer. So like I've said, we will try to hone our story writing experience today, and this is going to help you in taking a question in your exam for both grade 9 and 10. Okay, it's developing clues in the story, but my focus today is not limited within those clues. All right, we're going to do a lot more interesting things with the concept of stories. So stories are fascinating things, of course. From very past, okay, man has been sharing their stories, and through stories we have learned about people's cultures, we have learned about the traditions, we have learned about people's behaviors, their mind, okay, and everything. And because this is one common thing our grandparents have been, okay, doing since we're small, okay, I'm pretty sure the so stories, when you talk about stories first, okay, what kind of stories we make? Yeah, we make stories of brevities, we make stories from our observations, we make stories which are humoristic, suspense, thrillers, okay, evocations, emotional, varieties of stories we bring, and then we try to communicate to our, okay, people, okay, some messages. Now, how to do this and what is going to help in making a beautiful story? The answer is here in the screen I must have shared, okay? Look at these two beautiful pictures. The first picture, okay, is amazing. A little girl, okay, sitting in the box is flying with the help of some balloons. 5 there are. Maybe she can fly with only one. We might think this is impossible. Come on, this is possible. Why? Because you have your imagination with you. So it's imagination, it's the fancy that actually, okay, help you to make beautiful stories. It will take your mind to a very distant place, and you can see what lies behind the horizon. So if you want to see beyond your perception, then you got to apply imagination skills. A good writer, a good story writer, a good presenter always implies imagination in his art. So in picture 2, this is a beautiful picture for me because you can see the inside and the outside. And what is this imagination which is endless? Imagine for a short time, okay, you are outside and I'm inside the cave. For me, okay, the outside is visible because I'm living in the dark. For you, since you're living in the brightness, you might not see the beautiful world inside the cave. But for me, I observe and I compare the bright part in the text, okay, is almost, okay, 2 times, okay, larger than the bright side outside. So I might have a lot of interesting and amusing things to tell to you people, okay, from inside. So stories now is how you share your point of view, okay, to others. All right? Move on. Now we'll talk about the components, of course. The first thing that is important, okay, in exams especially, okay, if you are writing a story or if you're telling a story, is the title. How impressive is your title? How catchy is your title? And is your title grammatically correct? Becomes very important. Many people, okay, they try to make quick titles, like very simple, okay. I will say one title of my story is The Wonderful Night. Okay, very quickly I would write The Wonderful Night. The common story that we have been hearing since childhood, okay, is this: the hare and the tortoise. This is one story. Or maybe, okay, we can say like, okay, the scary night. Okay, or the wolf and the lion. Suppose this is a title that you are using it. Title could be anything. But how to make, okay, good title, grammatically correct? In exams, you must have gone this experience, like you just finished your exam and your teacher revealed the marks, and then you are very dissatisfied with the grade that you have got. In fact, okay, out of 10, your teacher has given you less than 4. And with a very dejected and low face, you go to the teacher and say, okay, I just got it very less, though I wrote a long answer, okay, it was even more than 1.5, but still, okay, I got less than 4. In fact, I deserve 7 from your point of view. And then your teachers must have just smiled at you. In fact, I do this, okay, to my students, and I just tell them, okay, don't beg for your marks, earn them. Now, how to earn marks? The teacher already indicated to you, okay, that you have got some problems in your writing, and therefore you could not get as much as you were expecting. So how can you get that? Starts from the title, and my whole class will be the answer for you people to bag a lot of marks in writing. So here, if the teacher has allocated 1 marks out of 6 for the title, because title is important, you have got, with this beautiful title, half marks only. Why? Because I'm not satisfied. Satisfied, okay, I would be if you have understood the components of titles. Here, I would mark this W wrong, this night wrong, this hare wrong, okay, this wrong, this also wrong, and similarly, okay, I'm not satisfied with the way you have used these alphabets, okay, in the title. Now, why? Because there is a technique. The technique is called, okay, content words and function words. I don't know whether you can read the red texture or not, so I prefer to use black now. So content and function words. And every title, whether you are doing this, okay, essay or poem or stories, content are the words which have got their meanings. Okay, in isolation, I can understand the meaning of the content words without being used in a sentence. For example, here, I know what wonderful is. I don't have to explain this. I know what night is. I know what hare is, what tortoise is, and similarly, I know scary, okay, night, lion, and wolf. These are content words. Function words are the words, okay, which do not make their individual meaning unless you use them in a sentence, like though, okay, and. All the prepositions and conjunctions are actually considered function words. So, in entitling the title of something, the content words are always made capital. So, I must make the correction here. This W becomes capital, is uppercase. Night becomes capital. Hare becomes capital. Okay, tortoise, and this is a definite article qualifying tortoise. I prefer to use T capital, S capital, once again N capital, W capital in wolf, dot capital, and L capital in lion. So, when you do this, you get full marks. If you don't, you get less. Content words and function words, always remember. We move on further. So the next important thing is understanding the narrative technique. I've displayed 3 beautiful pictures for you. You know narrative technique, there are 3. First, second, third. In first person narrative, okay, what do is like you involve yourself into the story. you are a part of a story means you are also a character, and including you, you try to introduce the other characters. In second person narrative technique, which is a rare thing that happens in story writing, I advise you not to use this. Okay, you're addressing your audience, the readers, the people who are listening to your story. You address them, and you also try to make them as character and try to ask their experiences while you are telling the stories, and try to ask them match their experiences with you as a character or the other characters in the story. Third person, you absent yourself in the story and you will focus on the other people only. So if you compare with the pictures, first person narrative technique, okay, is like, okay, you becoming a footballer. Like you're playing in the stadium, match is on, and you are telling the story what is happening. When you do that, okay, there's a chance that you miss behind you, what is happening behind you. And with that, you will not become a very good observer. But if you use third person narrative, okay, you're like the commentator in a sports stadium. You're watching everybody and you know everyone. You know everyone doing a particular thing. And that way you can explain the story better. So the choice is yours. Now in exam, what do you use? I would always recommend you people, okay, to use the third person narrative technique, because that is what it is advised and it is always easy. The clues that are given to us in story writing always, okay, should cover third person narrative technique, so exclude that. Obviously, if you're trying it somewhere else, you can apply any other narrative technique, and that is being a little experimental. But in exam, I am pretty sure like you will never like to, okay, gamble with your marks. It's a risk. So let's not be a risk. Now, once you understand, okay, the narratives, you need to understand, okay, the story map. Now, what is the story map? In almost every story, we have the story mountain, okay, in which we have exposition. We have got exposition, okay, at the bottom from where the story begins. So you'll introduce the characters, the plot is set there, the setting is there, and then slowly, okay, you move up, and then you try to portray your characters doing some actions. Of course, your character, the main character, the protagonist, will definitely face some obstacles and hindrances in life. And that is why you will see some lines, okay, with a zigzag. Now, once you go to the top, okay, it's a place where you highlight the worst situation of the story, the characters making the extreme struggle. But will it stay there? Will the characters keep on facing the challenges, okay, till the end of his life? No. We have to leave a positive message to the society, and therefore he finds a resolution, he finds solutions to his problems, and therefore he climbs down. So the story mountain shows you, okay, the down journey, which is a point where you try to show that your characters are resolving their problems, and when they come to the bottom on the other side of the mountain, you have to make sure there is a happy ending. Basically, we expect this. Yeah, in today's stories, we might not find similar ending, but this is one basic plot structure we design in story writing in exams, to draw beautiful morals at the end. Follow this. But how to now work on that story mountain? You got to focus on, okay, bodybuilding of the story. The first part was, I explained to you a moment ago, title. After title, you have to create the body. You have to develop the bodies. And what are the important parts in designing those bodies? Tense, numbers of paragraphs, transitions, dialogues versus narration, variation, sentence and paragraph, and diction choice. Now, we are going to explore each of these contents slowly. In every slide that I will display you, I will try to explain the ideas on the board here. Let's move on. So, what is understanding tense in story writing? This is the most important part of story writing. You can see on the screen there are two clues, clue 1 and clue 2. Tortoise walking on the road is seen by a hare. Hare laughs at the tortoise. This is giving you present tense. If we compare this with the second clue, okay, a sailor took his pet monkey with him to sea trip, terrible storm, overturned ship, or dolphin saved the monkey's life, you have past tense. Now, what is your story like? What tense should you choose to impress people? Which tense are you comfortable with? you have to decide it before you start. Like, I can use present tense to write a story. For me, this is even more comfortable because I feel like I'm giving life to my story. If I use present tense, I feel like this story is happening now. Unlike other stories, okay, when I use past tense, I know this happened once a long time ago. So basically people use past tense and they bring those obsessed openings, once upon a time, many years ago, long time ago, which are boring part for me. So for me, story is always experimental and I should give my own way to start. And that's why we're going to talk about this here. Now I've already told you, okay, my students, you can use past tense or you can use present tense to write the story. What do you choose? I know you will choose past tense because you feel comfortable with that. All right, that's fine. Use past tense. But once you start your story in past, using the past structure, make sure, okay, thoroughly, completely use past tense throughout the story, thoroughly. You have to keep on using it. All right? Do not swap the tense into present. But if you're using present tense, you have to be more careful because you cannot use past tense later. Now, what about if someone is given clue 1 with tortoise walking on the road is seen a hare, okay, hare laughs, all present verbs. If you're given all present verbs, what do? Can I swap these present verbs into past tense? Will my teachers or the examiner, okay, allow me to do that? What if I take this risk? I put all stories in past because I am comfortable with past. You can do that. You can do that. What matters is the way you develop your story. If you choose past, convert the present into past, and put it everything past, you're absolutely right. If you start with the present, you got to do in present. That is the only thing that you have to do. So now we'll talk about paragraph structure. This is the most important part after tense. You can see in the screen our structure, okay, giving a rigid shape to a building. And if you want to do that, okay, you have to focus on my ideas on this. You know, okay, in a page, there is a margin on the left, and some people prefer to draw a margin on the right, okay? And then you start writing your paragraphs. I have seen many students, okay, finishing everything, the entire story in one paragraph. Come on, how overwhelming is that? We don't do this. I cannot finish every incident of my life, okay, in one single paragraph. There are transitions, there are changes. The places are changing, the characters are changing, okay? The moods are changing. And with every change, okay, I come to know that I have to set a new paragraph. So, how many numbers of paragraphs then? I really cannot tell you the answer. It depends upon your creativity. For me, in exam, if you're writing 6 marks of stories, okay, I would consider 5 paragraphs minimum. You can limit it to 4. Some good people can even go it up to 7. I don't mind if you can go to 6, 7, or 8. It's up to you. Now, increasing number of paragraphs, does it mean like you're going to write a very long story? No again. Why? Because you have to apply variation in paragraph changes. Paragraphs should not have similar length. It should not have similar length. All right? Once you start with the first paragraph, it has got 5 lines. Second paragraph must vary. So maybe 4 lines, 2 lines, 7 lines, or 8 lines. So if I see 4 paragraphs, it's impressive for me to see 4 paragraphs with 4 different sizes and lengths. This is what you need to do to bring a structure. Now, when you do that, some students even try to, justify the test. It's called justification in computer too. Like, try to make balance, here, everywhere, all lines. Just like you see the balance here, you try to get the balance. And while doing so, you make some mistakes. Like, if you're using, a word, let's say, expose. So if I reach expose like this, it's fine. But if I start my word expose, from here, and I can just write these 3 letters, you might like to draw an hyphen and continue the remaining words here. Some people even try okay, like expos, and the last word is position here. These are terrible things, okay? We don't do that. We don't do that. I advise you nobody to do it. If you want to do it, you have to do it at the syllable, and learning syllable is another challenge for you right now. For example, if I want to break a word city like this at the end, I would try C and T separately, so I can break city here. I cannot break the word city like CIT and Y. Or if it is a long word like atmosphere, let's suppose, okay, the word is atmosphere. So I can break it at, mos, and then fear, because this is a 3-syllable word. If you go with chocolates, okay, I cannot break it here because this is like chalk and lets. So it's chocolates, chalk and lets. So to avoid that conflict, you can simply, okay, write if it fits in there. If it doesn't, you better take that entire words in the next line, and then you'll give a nice shape to your paragraph. So to not use justification in your writings. This is an example for variation in the paragraph, like Gary Provost has posted. You can read later, okay, when you are checking my recordings. But right now, you can just see the first paragraph comes with 5 lines. Second paragraph comes with a lot of other lines, and third paragraph comes with only 3 lines. Also notice in these variation in the paragraphs, there is variation in the size of sentence too. Now, what is this sentence variation? Let's talk about this. If we keep on using the same size or same length sentence throughout the story, it becomes boring again, and readers will not prefer to take that very positively. So to break that monotonous way of writing, sometimes you have to write a long sentence. Sometimes you have to write a very short, sometimes moderate, and sometimes just a verb or 2 words can become a sentence. If you want to go for a long sentence, of course, you'll have to borrow the ideas of using relative clauses in your examples. While using relative clause, you will use relative pronouns and merge 2 sentences or 3 sentences into one, and then produce, okay, clause examples. And that way you can bring variation in your writing, because if there is variation, it tempts people for reading. In a way, you're actually also supporting and helping the readers learn language from your writing, and therefore you have this responsibility as a writer, okay, to create these variations. Look at the last sentence on the screen that I have projected. Write music. See how short sentence that is. Now, transitions. We have talked about variation in the paragraphs, like first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth, fifth. Okay, it might continue. Now, in every paragraph, we have transitions to use. Transitions are like, okay, the road signals, the traffic lights, or, okay, the maps, the location maps that keeps on guiding you where to go, where you are, and how long you're going to take to reach a particular place. So in every paragraph, you go to use transitions and the introductory phrases. Some examples like, okay, you can start the story, early in the morning, Mrs. Smith. That is one way of starting. If you go to the next paragraph, okay, by the time, okay, she had prepared the dinner. That's the next transitions. So you can follow using transitions, transitions of reasonings, transitions of contrast. Some of the very commonly used words are, okay, although, despite, nevertheless, regardless, because of, in order to, okay, once in a while, having said that, okay, soon after that. So we keep on using a lot. My point here is, okay, whenever you begin a new paragraph, use one transition or the introductory phrase. How to change the paragraph if you're confused? My simple idea is like, if you're flowing in a paragraph and you come to a point that a scene is changing, then change the paragraph. Like, I'm in the kitchen, I'll describe the first 5 sentences about, okay, what is happening in the kitchen and who are the people, okay, that I am in the kitchen with. Now, once I know that, okay, my kitchen activities are over and I'm going to go to my sitting room or the living room, okay, or let's say my study room, okay, I know I have changed the setting, and therefore I would change the paragraph. So making new paragraphs is not difficult at all. All right? It's all about, okay, moving with the transitions. This is what you're going to apply. And now, dialogues. Another important part in story writing is dialogues. You can see in the screen, okay, I have quoted something, dialogues. So, dialogues add life to the story because it makes you feel like the character is performing right in front of you, like a play, like a drama. And therefore, you must use dialogues in story writing. Many students, they do not prefer to. In fact, the story comes everything with indirect narration. Now, use direct narration, but in what portion should you use dialogues and how should they appear in the structure of a story? I would recommend you people to follow, okay, my choice, 25% and 75%. So I'll focus the overall, from the overall length, 25% dialogues, 75% indirect speech, that is a narration from the storyteller or the narrator. I prefer this. Now, when I write the dialogues, okay, should I write the dialogues in the paragraph? No. You must have read some novels, I am sure. In your novels, what do you see? You will see the narration by the writer, and then the characters are talking, and they appear, okay, in separate lines. In separate lines. Like the one you can see here, okay, you really shouldn't have done that. He whispered. Now, let's just read something. In this, you really shouldn't, okay, have done that. Have done that. Please notice the use of comma here, quote over here, and then he whispered. He is a character. So this is one way of introducing dialogues, but this is generally not done because our ways of introducing dialogues is like he whispered, then comma, then quote starts, and then you put the entire thing right here. But what is the difference is like, if you begin with the speaker addressed first, comma here, outside the quotes, and the speech ends with a full stop. But if you try to keep the speaker at the end and introduce the dialogue first, okay, you start with a quote with a capital letter, you really shouldn't have done that. Then instead of full stop, you go to write instead of full stop, you go to write a comma, close the quotes, and then continue with the speaker. So there are two alternative ways of introducing dialogues. Use 25% in your text in different places, not at the same time. And when you're doing these dialogues, please also remember your dialogues should be short. Your dialogues should be simple because you're trying to communicate your ideas to ordinary people. That is your assumption. And therefore, long dialogues and complex words can really trouble. So try to be very simple, try to be catchy, and try to reflect your understanding through people. And sometimes, of course, to avoid monotonous way of reading, you can avoid repetition of your ideas or words, let's say. So for that, you can keep on refining the words, refining your vocabulary skills. There are some words that I have highlighted on the screen. You can see lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented, bewildered. Somehow they are synonymous terms. In fact, they are. But every word that I have shown here, has slightly different meaning, and you can borrow these words to define those different situations. You have to be very wise enough in deciding words for you, which is called word choice. All right, that is called diction, like dictionary. You have to choose the correct word, the appropriate word in describing the right situation. And for that, you have to scheme them. It's not easy, though. Ultimately, of course, you will draw a story, moral. And when you draw moral, your moral is always with a positive note. There must be affirmative ideas in drawing morals. They are either virtuous or good or righteous or upright, or high-minded. Now, while drawing the moral, rather than me advising you, you have to write a story, you have to know the story, you have to connect your readers with your stories, and that should give you a good moral on your own. This is not going to be the challenging part. That's the end of the story, writing skills. Yet, while delivering the story, it's a different thing again. So unless you practice, this story writing skills will not help you to become closer and to have more experience with stories. I recommend all of you to keep on creating your own stories, write stories, draft them, reproduce, edit, rework, give it 4 feedbacks, apply the feedbacks, come up with new draft, think of it, and when you come to know that your story is good and it can leave impression on the people, you can post them on Facebook and your Instagrams and bag a lot of appreciation, and this is how you're going to become a good writer in your future. All the best for your journey. Keep on watching me every Wednesday. Next time, we'll pick up grammar again. For today, this is all. Thank you very much for watching me. Bye-bye.